Hello and welcome to KB Terrace Talk. This is our predictions for the championship. So, this is going to be an interesting one, Bez. Some big teams in this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, again, looking forward to this one. I think it is difficult. Let's face it, the championship generally is one of the most hardest leagues to predict. Any team can beat any team on the day. You always get surprises. I mean, Barnes has been in playoffs not that long ago. Millwall got in last year. This is going to be a real test, but one I'm looking forward to.
Super. So, start us off then, Bez, with Birmingham.
Okay,
Where do you think they're
I
going to
will.
finish?
Birmingham City. Obviously got a little bit of money behind them still. Tom Wagner, the chairman. Obviously, they romped League One a couple of seasons ago. They've still got Chris Davis as manager, which I'm a little bit surprised. He did really well in League One, but let's face it, I think anyone would have got Birmingham up in that at that level with that team. And then did he do okay last year and got Birmingham to mid-table? Not really sure, to be honest with you. I think they could have put someone better. The signings, they've signed John Solis from Girona for £6 million. Dale Fry's a great signing. Luis Vasquez from Anderlecht for £3 million. Christopher Lund from Palermo. And then they've also loaned in James Beadle from Brighton and Hove Albion, who's been on loan at a couple of clubs, including Sheffield Wednesday. He was on loan at Birmingham last season as well, so just brought him back. So a difficult one to start. I'm going to go straight down the middle, and I'm just going to go mid-table. I think that was probably obviously coming, and that's where I'm putting Birmingham in mid-table.
I disagree with you.
That's fine. Sorry,
for me, I think Birmingham will definitely get the playoffs. I think they're going to probably finish about fifth. Got great ownership. They've strengthened well. Some really good signings in there. They've spent some good money. I think they'll strengthen again in January. And at this level, if you've got the money, you're always going to do okay. So for me, Birmingham, big club, big ambitions. They're not going to. They nearly got into the playoffs last season. They were flirting around, so they finished slightly above mid-table. For me, I think they'll get in the playoffs for sure.
Okay. Moving on then. Next, we have Blackburn Rovers. Manager, Tony Mowbray. An old-fashioned manager. Again, a manager I've always liked. He's probably coming towards the end of his probably managerial career though, because I think he's getting quite old. I'm just looking at the transfers that they've brought in. They've not really improved their squad at all. They've signed a player from a Swiss side, Moussa Baraji. They've signed Jaden Favria from Stockport, and then they've also brought in today actually Sam Morsey from Bristol City on a free.
It's good signing. I like
that. It's a decent signing, yeah. So fair enough on that one. I'll be honest. I'm looking at the rest of the clubs that are kind of in the championship. I know a couple of teams who I do know I think will get relegated, but I am actually going to put Blackburn in a relegation spot. It's more to do with the fact that I am looking at the rest of the football clubs, and a lot of these football clubs I just can't see going down, and it only really leaves me with the ones that I think are going down, and then Blackburn Rovers, and that's the reason why I've gone Blackburn Rovers. So I really apologise, Blackburn Rovers fans. I think you're in for a tough year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't think they'll go down. I think they've got too much about them to go down. With the Sam Morsey signing's a good signing. But I do think they're going to be in for a season of struggle, and they're going to flirt with the bottom half of the table, like they did last season. For me, I can't see them progressing to mid-table. I can't see them being bad enough to get relegated. I've got my teams in mind for the relegation, and it isn't them, but they could be very close. So yeah, I'm going to put them bottom half.
Okay. Next, we have Bolton Wanderers, and I have to say this was the other side where I was toying on whether these would get relegated with Blackburn. Like the two that it was between. Obviously, I've got the other two I know for definite. I think are going down, and the last relegation spot was between Blackburn and Bolton. I look at Bolton, and the manager. Actually, I'm not a massive fan of the manager. I said it before on here. Not a massive fan of Steven Schumacher, but he has won a couple of promotions. And to be fair to him, when he brought Plymouth up into the Championship, he got them well clear of relegation, and then he left to go to Stoke. And as soon as he left, Plymouth then started dropping down the league, and they only just survived on the final day. So it just shows that he actually did do a good job. They have also brought in a few players that I really like. David Watson from Kilmarnock is a great signing. Ben Davis from Rangers, a brilliant signing at this level. Ex-Liverpool, ex-Preston North End. Akin Firmino from Hull City, who won promotion with Hull. Lucas Stevenson from Liverpool for about 700,000. Gasquet Larrazabel from Casapia in Portugal. Tom King from Cheltenham. Finn Wilkinson from Blackburn, and they have loaned a player from Germany who actually I do know this player a little bit. Killian Dong is like a left winger, and again a tricky left winger. And I just think that the players that they've brought in, and the fact that Schumacher's got experience of keeping teams away from the relegation zone, I'm going to put Bolton Wanderers in the bottom half rather than going down.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Bolton will struggle again. I think they'll just have enough with the signings they've made to stay up. Yeah, I don't. I don't mind Schumacher, but I think he is a bit hyped. But yeah, they will stay up, but they won't have a great season. To be fair, they'll be languishing down in the bottom half.
Okay. Next, we have Bristol City. Bristol City, who have just become your typical league championship side, that they seem to always finish between 8th and 15th place every single season. And it's not like they don't spend a bit of money to try and get up, because they do. They've received a lot of money over the last few years, but they've also spent that money. Again, they've got quite a well known chairman.
Trying some good forwards, haven't they? Have you seen the forwards?
I have, and I'm going to come to that in a minute. So managers Michael Scavala, who they've obviously taken in from Lincoln City. A manager I really rate. He's obviously done an incredible job with Lincoln. You look at Lincoln's squad last season, I don't think it was the best in League One, to be honest with you, but he managed, it took him a year and a half or maybe a couple of years to get it right, but he gradually improved the team. And I think he also signed the right type of players to kind of get promoted. And I think that's why Lincoln did win promotion. They beat Rotherham 3-0 towards the end of the season. And I actually weren't that impressed with him, really. He just kind of got the ball forward quite quickly and just scored 3 quick goals. As Lee says, they've spent over £10 million on their forward line, arguably. Don Bollard, the Leyton Orient striker, who obviously had a brilliant time last season, for £5 million. Laurent Talad from Plymouth, who again had another cracking season with them, that were £4 million. They've also signed Sam Greenwood, who we'll know from playing for Middlesbrough, Preston, Leeds United. He cost £2 million. So the forward line, you have to give them credit. They've really made strides. They've also signed Brad Collins as a goalkeeper from Coventry. I think is another excellent signing. Sam Tickle, the goalkeeper from Wigan, I really rate this goalkeeper. I remember watching, I think it was his debut for Rotherham against Wigan, and he looked good then. And I can remember saying to lads who put off the game, we should try and sign him straight away. we didn't do, and now he's obviously in the Championship with Bristol City. Jed Wallace also joined as well from West Brom. So I actually think Bristol City will have a great season. It's whether or not I think they're going to get the playoffs. Now, looking at the team, I think they have actually got a team capable of getting to the playoffs. I'm actually unsure on the manager because the manager is one of them where he will get it right eventually, but I think it'll take him a couple of seasons to do that. And for that reason only, I'm going to put Bristol City in mid-table. I think they'll just miss out on the playoffs, even though the playoffs have been extended. I think they're just going to miss out, unfortunately.
Yeah, so for me, I disagree. I think they're going to join Birmingham in the playoffs. I think that forward line is frightening, and I think there's more players set to sign. So I think they're going to be a surprise package this season. I think the manager is full of confidence after getting sort of Lincoln promoted. Yeah, for me, I think they're going to get into the playoffs. I think they'll sneak in.
Okay. Next, then, we have Burnley. Obviously, recently relegated from the Premier League. Your typical yo-yo team at the minute, up from the Championship, down from the Premier League. And yeah, even without looking at the signings and without looking at who the manager is and what have you, I still think that Burnley will, be a good force in this division. I'm just looking as well at who they have brought in now. It is a bit strange because it says here that they brought in so they had a player on loan from Benfica called Florentino Luis, who was like a holding midfielder, and it says that they brought him in June, but then it's saying that they've actually just sold him to Ipswich Town a few days ago. So I don't really know what's happened there. So if some Burnley fans can just let us know, because that is an interesting one. They have signed. They've not made a massive amount of signings. They've signed a couple of foreign players. Luke Castell for Espanyol and Hugo Raghuber from Lille, who cost them just over £4 million. The manager, I'll be honest, I've never heard of this guy. Nicky Hayen, he is. He's come from Genk. Now, Genk are a side who traditionally do quite well in the Belgian league. And it does look like he has managed a couple of big clubs in Belgium, including Club Brugge as well. I'm not sure if that's a good thing for Burnley or a bad thing. I really don't know. But I am still going to stick Burnley at least in the top 8. I'm going to put them in the playoffs, 3rd to 8th. They're my first playoff team.
Interesting. Yeah, for me, this is a difficult one. Yeah, I'm going to put them in the playoffs as well. I think when you come down for the Premier League, you've got, strong squad. There's a big gap between the Premier League and the Championship. So for me, all the teams that come down will be in and around it this season as well. It's the usual case. They've got the highest finances, and it's very hard for Championship clubs to be able to compete with clubs that are having sort of Premier League squads and finances coming to this level. So for me, yeah, they'll hit the playoffs again.
Okay. Next, Cardiff City, who won their promotion last season from League One. They've still got Brian Barry Murphy, and when I saw him at Rotherham, I was really impressed with him. Cardiff went down to 10 men against Rotherham quite early on, and they still dominated the game and won 3-0. And you could see Barry Murphy kind of instructing his players on where to be positionally on the pitch and what to do, and he really impressed me. And I have to say, I was actually really disappointed that Cardiff did finish second and not win the league. So yeah, they've only brought in a few players. Nathan Trott, I'm sure they've had that goalkeeper before, actually, Cardiff. Well, they had him on loan, Cardiff, and they brought him in for £1.5 million from Copenhagen. They brought a player for Aston Villa, a youngster I don't recognise, Thierry Katsakunya. But the big signing is obviously Jack Moylan from Lincoln City. So Jack Moylan was one of the big reasons why Lincoln won promotion last season, and I think that's probably a great signing for Mr. Barry Murphy in this division. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. It's whether or not they finish bottom half or mid-table. As it's a difficult league to kind of, come up from League One and challenging, I think Cardiff are going to finish in bottom half. I just think they've not quite got enough quality to get into that mid-table spot.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I've got them bottom half as well. I think there could be a chance that they also get relegated, but they may just stay up. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near mid-table. I think they're quite a poor team, to be honest with you. So for me, I'm going to put them as just about staying up.
Okay. Next, we have Charlton Athletic, who obviously won promotion a couple of years ago. And to be fair to Charlton, they've done something what Rotherham struggled to do, and a lot of teams struggle to do when they go into the Championship, and that is stay in the league. Manager Nathan Jones, who I really rate, he was obviously so close to joining the Millers, and I don't think no one actually knows what happened officially, and he ended up not signing, which was disappointing. I look at their transfers, and I actually am impressed with these transfers. They've brought in a couple of foreigners, Ivan Mezic from Heracles for an undisclosed fee. I don't know much about him. Billy Cometio from Dundee is a good signing. He's like a 6'5", 6'6" centre back who was on the books of Liverpool. Colin Grant, free transfer from West Brom. That's a cracking signing. Danny McNamara, free transfer from Millwall. A brilliant signing, a really good right back, Danny McNamara. Milenik Ali from Luton, and again, another fantastic signing. Nathaniel Chalobah from Sheffield Wednesday. They did lose Lyndon Dykes, actually, who I actually really liked. But apart from that, not a lot of people have gone out in terms of first teamers. They have also signed a player from Slavia Prague on loan, who I don't know much about. Will Charlton improve on last season? I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to go down, but again, I'm going to stick them in that bottom half.
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with you there, Bez. I'm going to pick Charlton to get relegated. I disagree with you. They're thinking that they've signed good players. I think they've signed players from Scotland, which very rarely work out, to be honest, and not in the Championship. I don't think they're great signings. They've signed players from Luton who are sort of League One. Signed players from Lincoln who are League One. I think they basically remind me of when Rotherham got promoted. They stayed up that season with Taylor, and then the next season they just dropped like a stone. And we signed players from similar sort of teams, Scotland and this, that, and the other. Tried to, for me, I see Charlton as a nailed-on relegation. I don't even think it's in question. I think they'll get relegated. I don't think they've any chance whatsoever staying up. And that's my opinion.
Wow. I mean, I wouldn't worry, Charlton fans, because our next club, this man here had this club going down last season, and they nearly got into the playoffs, and that is Derby County. So don't you worry, Charlton fans, because he is known to be wrong on some occasions. Charlton, Derby County. John Eustace is still the manager, a manager I really like. And this is one of the reasons why I actually disagreed with Lee last season when he said he thought they'd struggle. I didn't think they'd get the playoffs, but I thought they'd comfortably stop up, and obviously they did. They've not actually brought in a ton of players. Bobby Clark is a great signing, £6 million from Red Bull Salzburg. It is a fantastic signing. And Charlie Taylor is a decent signing from Southampton. He's just a little bit on the old side. The fact that they've managed to keep Sammy Smodic for another season is a great signing. Obviously, he'll is a natural goal scorer at that level. He scored in the friendly against Rotherham as well. So are you expecting him to score goals? Now, where do I put Derby County? It is between the mid-table slot or the playoffs. The fact that the playoffs are down to 8, I think Derby will be getting in the playoffs this year. I know Lee might not like that, but and you can't see the logo very well, and that's not our fault. That's because Derby County have a crap logo. So don't blame us for that. But believe you me, I have put Derby in the playoff slots.
Yeah, you can't see Derby's. They should have done it white, really.
Yeah. There's two.
Yeah, for
You can't see Swansea either, which is later on.
For me, Derby will be mid-table. I think they overachieved last season. I never thought they were ever going to tackle the playoffs. Yeah, I did predict them to get relegated, but they didn't. They had a much better season than I thought. But I still look at the squad, and it's not the best. It's nowhere near going to be good enough to be in the playoffs for me. So I'm just going to go mid-table finish.
Let me just I mean, we don't. I don't want to debate on every single one. And to be fair, we haven't actually debated, but we always say, and I'm sure you agree, Lee, that the key to a good squad is if you have your structure through the middle. So a good goalie, good defender, good midfielder, good striker, then you've got every chance of doing well. And you look at Derby, and they've got Sammy Smodic and Colton Morris up front, who are very good strikers. They've got the new signing, Clark, who's coming in midfield, who cost them £6 million. So you'd expect him to be a good midfielder. Defensively, they've got Matthew Clark, who I have always rated. And then the goalie, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about him, but he was there last season, and that was that Zetterstrom, who I think Derby fans actually rave about this kid. So yeah, I'd argue against that. I think like if you look at their squad, it's not the biggest. I'll give you that. But on paper, I think it's actually a very good squad, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. I'd say Colton Morris is a League One player. I don't think he's a
Really?
Championship player.
Wow.
I don't think he's that good.
Wow. Okay.
And he's aging. The other two that you've signed, yeah, they're okay. The goalkeeper's okay. But when you're putting them up against, you look at West Ham, they've got Bowen and players like that.
You can't do it. West Ham are going to win league. You can't compare against them. You need to compare Derby against.
Then. All right then. The teams I've put in the playoffs. Burnley.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
Look at Burnley's squad. Get Burnley's squad up.
Burnley. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get Birmingham up because that's what you've got in playoffs there. So if I get Birmingham's squad up, I'm just getting it up now. They've got. I'm looking at their squad now, honestly, and they have got some good players, but they've not really got a good spine. So Jade Stansfield is their out-and-out striker, who is actually very overrated. Is Jade Stansfield? They have got a better defender as Birmingham.
Stansfield overrated. He's a quality player. Is Stansfield?
He's only scored 29 goals for Birmingham.
He's not just a goal scorer, though, is he? Look at the work he does off the ball. He creates so many chances. He runs at defenders. Mate, Derby County have got nobody as good as Jay Stanfield in the squad, in the entire squad.
No, Sammy Smodic is better than Jay Stansfield, I think. That's just my opinion. Anyway, you've got your little debate there if people were wanting that. Yeah, just our opinion, really. I do think you've got a downer on Derby for an old.
I've got no issue with Derby. I've got no issue with Derby.
Okay.
I've got no issues with Derby at all. I don't rate the team.
Okay, let's move on then. Right, so I think we can probably agree with this next team, Lincoln City. First of all, congratulations on getting promoted to the Championship. As we said on the League One video, League One is a difficult league to get out of. And I think it took Lincoln a few years to do it, but they did manage to do it, so fair play. They obviously lost the manager, which is not ideal. They've now got a joint head manager, which I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen work anywhere. It's Chris Cohen and Tom Shaw. Chris Cohen obviously was a good footballer. Tom Shaw, I'm just looking at his history now. He's a 39-year-old, and he looks like he played football in and around the conference. So I have to say, if you're a Lincoln City fan, there must be questions asked. An opportunity you've got in the championship, you've got an opportunity to just spend a little bit of money to try and get yourselves out of the bottom three. Once you've done that, you can then progress, and all of a sudden you can randomly get in the playoffs. It's something that I always want Rotherham to do, and they never did. And Lincoln, I'm afraid you're doing. I think you're almost doing it worse than Rotherham. You've lost your best player, Jake Moylan, to Cardiff. You've only brought in two players, Callum Elder from Derby County. Again, it's an okay sign, but he's 31. And you've got Andrei Kubatis from University Cluj, who are like a Romanian side. I'm really sorry, but not only do I think Lincoln are going to go down, I think Lincoln are going to finish bottom, and I think Lincoln might not get 30 points. I'm really sorry, Lincoln fans. It seems like a waste. You're going to go down to League One, and then you're going to end up being a League One side for the next, few years. Disappointing. I'm really disappointed in you.
Yeah, so I agree. I mean, this has to be the worst team to ever be in the Championship for me. Even worse than when Burton got there. This is a nothing team, Lincoln City. I don't know how they got into the Championship. I watched them last season. Yeah, they did okay, but I mean, Rotherham splattered them at home, and they still managed to get promotion. But for me, how they got there, I do not know. They've lost the manager. They've not invested, and this is going to be some sort of embarrassment. This is. I actually think they could get less points than what Sheffield Wednesday got last season.
Wednesday got like 3 points.
Honestly, I'll be surprised if these get a point. Honestly, I don't even think they'll get a point. I think this could be like the biggest embarrassment I've ever seen on a football pitch. This could be 0 points.
Yeah. It doesn't look good at all. I can't deny that.
Wednesday won. Did they win 2 games Wednesday?
2 games, yeah.
I don't think Lincoln will win 2 games. I think they'll win 1 game all season.
Wow.
That's
the thing is, I don't disagree with you. Like, the thing with football is it will surprise you, and Lincoln will somehow get. And this is why I have a problem with the Wednesday manager, because Lincoln City they'll get 2 or 3 random wins.
Manage to at least win a few, don't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I mean, I think unless like I don't know, like a big team comes there and they get to that Sinsel Bank and they think, God, are we at a Sunday League team? And they don't fancy it. And then they just don't show up. Maybe they get a couple of home wins like that where the other team just not fancying it on a cold Tuesday night. And
you see that as well. That's what actually goes against Rotherham, because Rotherham Stadium, yes, it's not big, but when you get there, it's a Championship stadium. So teams like Middlesbrough or Norwich, they don't turn up and like, oh, bloody hell, it's Millmore. I don't fancy this. It's like a brilliant ground, one of the best pitches in the English league, and they perform. At least with Lincoln, they have got that going for them where the ground's not the best. They've got that one big stand, but apart from that, it's not the best. And maybe you're right. Maybe there is someone. Maybe someone does go and think, I don't fancy this, and Lincoln somehow get a 1-0 win. So that's their only hope, isn't it, really? Let me ask you, Lee, quickly. Lincoln, to be fair, did get a good result in the League Cup away at Derby. I know you don't like Derby, but that's still a good result. Does that have any impact on, could Lincoln do that in the league, or is it a case of Derby probably didn't even try?
It's a case of you overhyping Derby, because, like I said, they're going to finish mid-table. And obviously, Derby underestimate. Another thing, they could underestimate them. But it's just the Carabao Cup. I don't think anybody's bothered about
That's what I'm trying to say, yeah. Because you've got Derby as mid-table. Lincoln, if Lincoln go to Derby and win the league, then Lincoln are good enough to stay in the league. Simple as that. Because it's a mid-table
team. I don't think
team.
They do that in the league, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, moving on. So we do apologise, Lincoln fans, but it does look very bleak, and it looks to me like the owner's just given up this year. That's what it looks like to me. Right. Middlesbrough are next. A team who are always near the top.
Serial bottlers, man. Serial bottlers.
Yeah. But you look right at these transfers, and there's one actually I want to ask you about, which I don't think you might know about it. I'm not sure. So Middlesbrough have actually brought in a few good players. I'll start with the manager, Kim Hellberg. I was impressed with this guy last year. I felt that when he took over, he improved Middlesbrough. But obviously, I think even him struggled to get Middlesbrough over the line because, as Lee kind of says, Middlesbrough do tend to bottle it, regardless who the manager is. They could have Jose Mourinho there, and they'd still bottle it. That type of club.
Yeah, well, they had Carrick there and bottled it.
Exactly. Yeah. It was now at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yeah. Look at their transfers. Jeremy Sarmiento from Brighton, great signing. DJ Bernard, Caden Cole, Ezra, Tinker, them that I've never heard of. They're just youngsters from Liverpool, Hull, and Newcastle. Miles Harris from Oxford's a good signing. Kyle Joseph, £4 million from Hull. Will Lancashire, this is their main signing, 10 million from Tottenham, and he actually scored at his debut, and he does look a very good player, to be fair. Sebastian Bertholter, I think he was at the World Cup actually, and he actually looked good, so that's a good signing, 1.6 million. Max Orsted from Columbus Crew, another 5.5 million, and the one that you will know a bit about, Lee, Radek Vitek, a goalkeeper from Man United who cost them £7 million, who looks like a good buy, to be honest with you. I think Middlesbrough will be in the playoffs 100%, but I think that's probably the best they'll get. I'll put them there because Derby are there. So Middlesbrough in the playoffs. They've got half a chance of getting top two. The only reason I think they won't is because I just think there are two sides who are probably better off than Middlesbrough at this time, or this point of my point of view anyway. So yeah, that's where I think Middlesbrough will finish.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Middlesbrough playoffs for me. Serial bottlers, I don't think they'll win the playoffs, but I think they'll get there. Like you said, they've got some good signings, very good goalkeeper signed from Man United, and a good striker. So yeah, I think they'll do okay, but I don't think they've got enough to get back to the Premier League.
Okay, and next is Millwall. Millwall. So this is a tricky one. Obviously, Millwall last season had a cracking season. They've got a very good manager in Alex Neil. Again, Millwall are a team who seem to spending money every single transfer. They spent another £10 million, give or take, this year. Jensen Metcalf from Bradford, who, if you remember, Lee, Chickens on the Loose podcast, he was raving about this player, and Millwall have signed him, so that's obviously a good signing. They've signed a centre forward from a French team, Rodez. He's called Tariq Conte. Don't know much about him. He looks like he scored 13 goals in 30 games last season for Rodez, which is okay. Matthias Servai, I actually do know this lad a little bit, from Beveren. A good midfielder. He's cost them £5 million, so he must be half decent. Mark Sykes, good sign from Bristol City. Elkan Baggett from Ipswich Town, a good defender. Kyrell Lisby from Peterborough, £3 million, and he actually impressed me when Rotherham lost 5-0. Yeah, he was really good in that game. Danny Bath, a good signing, although he's a bit old now. He's like 35, so not sure about him. And Lyndon Dykes, who I really like, Lyndon Dykes, so I think that's a good signing as well. I think Millwall are going to get in the playoffs again because they've extended the playoffs. I do think Millwall will get in, so I'm going to put them in the playoffs there.
Interesting. What have we got left? How many go in the playoffs?
You get two more, so you've got two left, so 6.
Yeah, no, I think Millwall will finish mid-table. I don't think they'll quite make the playoffs this year. Signed some good players, but I just think there's so much quality in this league this season and I think Millwall will fall short. They dropped off towards the end of the season as well because they were flying at one point, and then they kind of slipped away, bottled it, and I think they'll have a hangover from that, and just have a mid-table finish this season for me, Millwall.
Yeah, one thing I will say, so you've swapped, if you like, Birmingham, Bristol City for Millwall. So do you just think they've had better transfer windows? Is that all it is?
What do you mean?
So Birmingham and Bristol City finished about 8th, 9th, and 10th, whereas Millwall finished like 4th or
No,
5th.
yeah.
This
I
year
mean,
you've got
you can't
opposite,
always go on just because they finished there that season. The thing is, Birmingham had a good end to the season. Bristol City, I think, have been a lot more active in the market. Not more active, but I think they've just got better players, strike force wise, the top end of the pitch. And I think Millwall overachieved, and they started off like a rocket. Yeah, they looked like they were going to get automatics at one point, and then they just dropped away, and nearly ended up missing out the playoffs altogether. So for me, I think they've had a drop off, and I think that will continue. That's why I think Birmingham are on the up. Millwall, don't get me wrong. You could see them at certain parts of the season, maybe in the playoff positions, but I think they'll just fall short due to squad depth and quality.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to, if you like, my favourite team in the Championship. I always praise this side when we used to do the predictions, and that is Norwich City. Now, Norwich City last season had a terrible start, and obviously they were on the verge of potentially going down at one point until Philippe Clement come in, the ex-Rangers manager came in, and he did an unbelievable job. And if the season had gone on for another 2 or 3 weeks, I think Norwich would have not only got the playoffs, but they would have won promotion. And what I like about Norwich and what they've done this season is they've not had an overhaul of players. They've only brought in 4 permanents and 1 loan player just to kind of bolster the squad. And looking at if they've lost any players, they've not lost anyone of kind of big note. Emiliano Marcondes has gone. I think he was half and half in there. But apart from that, they've kept pretty much the same side. New signings include Sam Field, Andre Brooks from Sheffield United, which that was a bit of a left field transfer actually. Obviously, Sheffield and Norwich both in the same division, both similar sized clubs, you'd say. But Andre Brooks has been signed for, I think it's like £11 million from what I read. It does say undisclosed on this one, so a great signing is that, and that's a big risk for Sheffield United actually. They've also signed Vinny Leonard, who from Dundalk, that I imagine this kid will go into their youth set of 18. Because what I like about Norwich, I mentioned this as well, is they don't just sign players for the first team year in, year out. They also sign players for their youth side, like 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Something I would wish Rotherham would do, to be honest with you, but they're never going to do with the current setup and the current chair, unfortunately. And the last sign they've made is, again, a player I don't really know much about, Darling Yongwe, who's a left-back from Lorient in France. They ended up finishing 12th in the end, Norwich, last season. I'm going to surprise you here, Lee. I'm having Norwich in second. I think they're gonna take last year's momentum at the end of the season and they're taking it on, and they're going to finish second.
No, not agreeing with that. I do think they'll get the playoffs though. Norwich will get into the playoffs. Very good side. Poor start last season. Had they not had that start, they probably would have got promoted, but they did. They are where they are. But yeah, I think they will get into the playoffs for me, 100%.
Okay. Next, we have Pompey or Portsmouth. A team who, again, it took them a while to get into back into the Championship, and then when they have got there, they have actually done well to kind of maintain their Championship status. Manager is John Mousinho, who, to be fair to him, he's done a very good job. They've brought in a number of players: Odin Bailey from Stockport, Owen Kenny from Dundalk, Rocco Shine, Marko Milovanovic, for 3 million. So another side who are spending money. Abu Kamara from Hull City, 2.5 million. I still don't think that Portsmouth will pull up any major trees. Again, it's whether or not I think they're going to finish in the bottom half or they're going to get mid-table. I'm going to go bottom half. I'm putting in bottom half.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm going to go bottom half as well for me. Yeah, they haven't done enough to break into mid-table for me. I think I'm comfortable with bottom half.
Okay. Next, Preston. Now, what I am not going to do with Preston is I'm not going to show them disrespect this year because I had Preston not going down, but I had them struggling. And I think by October time, they were like 5th or 4th or 5th in the league. Now, it did peter out, and Preston, I think, did end up finishing quite low down last season. I'm actually not a massive fan of Paul Eckingbottom. He's done a decent job at some places, like Sheffield United did okay, Barnsley did okay, but I don't know, at Leeds he struggled, and I just think he's not done too bad, I guess, at Preston. But I guess Preston, they're a typical Championship side. They have spent some money this year. They've bought Alfie Devine for 6 million, and Alfie Devine is a very good, if you like, young player who was on loan at Preston last season, scored 8 goals from midfield. So I think that's a great signing. The only other player they've actually brought in is Lee Nichols, who's a 33-year-old goalkeeper. Having said that, though, like I said, I'm not going to disrespect them this year. I want to put them in mid-table just because whenever I talk about Preston, and I always say they're going to go down or they're going to go up or whatever, they always finish mid-table. So I'm going to stick them there this year.
Bez isn't going to disrespect them, but I am.
Ooh.
I picked for relegation. Yeah, I can't see Preston staying up this year. I don't think Eckingbottom's that great a manager either. He's all right, but yeah, he's a League One manager, top end League One manager. So I'd take him in League One, but I won't be wanting him as a Championship manager. So yeah, for me, Preston will finally drop.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Next, we have Queen's Park Rangers. Again, a team who seem to have been in the Championship forever. But, you know, there have been a lot of occasions where they have struggled near the bottom of the league. Now, they've got an unknown manager called Julian Stefan, who, looking at his kind of profile, he was at Rennes, who are in the top tier of French football, but I think that's a massive gamble. I think any time that a team bring in like a foreign manager, I think it is a gamble. Sometimes it pays off massively well. Like Middlesbrough, I think their manager does look really good, and I think that he'll eventually get Middlesbrough over the line at some point. But this manager is screaming. The manager's appointment is screaming at me. They brought in Tariq Lamptey, who is actually a fantastic signing from Fiorentina. Obviously, he was at Brighton. Very quick is this lad. Although he only played 2 times for Fiorentina in his career. So he's actually only played 2 games in the last, if you like, 15 months, I think it is. So although it's a good signing, it's a risky signing because he could get injured quite easily. Callum Ward, goalkeeper from Motherwell, I don't really know much about. And then they've signed Boy Kemper, who I don't know much about either, from a Dutch team, NAC Breda. I'll be honest, this is my team who I think will go down. So obviously Bushy's gone for Preston. I've gone for QPR. I think they've just been in the Championship for too long. They've been towards the bottom for too long. And I just don't think they can keep getting away with it. You know, Cardiff succumbed to it last season. Blackburn succumbed to it once. Leicester succumbed to it, although that was a bit of a different issue. I get that. But yeah, it's just QPR's turn to go down. And that is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think bottom half for QPR. I just think it could be between them, Preston or Charlton. You could swap any of them round, but I think QPR always, it's the home form. They always seem to pick up results at home when you don't expect them to pick it up, and they always just keep their head above water. So I think they'll do the same again.
Okay. The next one, Sheffield United. I think this is going to be an interesting one for Mr. Bush. We know a lot about Sheffield United because it's a local side. We know that the manager's still Chris Wilder, who I know Lee's not a big fan of, but I rate Chris Wilder. I think for Sheffield United he's done well. He has struggled at other clubs, I'm not denying that. I am concerned that they've not really brought anyone in. Matt Doherty, a 34-year-old right back. They've obviously lost one of their better players, Andre Brooks. They have replaced him though with a young lad from Brentford, Romel Donovan, and I actually watched him in the friendly against Rotherham, and he looked really poor. But having said that, I watched him against Mansfield on Sunday in the League Cup, and he actually looked okay. So it's not a bad signing. I don't think Sheffield United are going to be anywhere near the top this season. I think they're going to finish mid-table, and that's where I'm putting them, mid-table.
Yeah, so I agree with you. They're going mid-table for me. I think Chris Wilder is overrated. I'm not sure he'll last the season out this season. They've lost Harmer, the best player, by a country mile. They haven't really. I think the money's gone. I think they haven't even paid for the club. To be honest, I think there's players on the books that they haven't even finished paying for. Bit of a mess at Sheffield United. I think this season it'll be mid-table, and then they'll start dropping down to bottom end of the championship. For me, I don't see a great future while ever they've got that ownership there. So yeah, Sheffield United mid-table struggle this season for me.
Yeah, agreed. Next we have Southampton. Obviously, kicked out of the playoffs last season, and interestingly, they have actually kept the manager. From the guy who did get them kicked out, if you like, of the playoffs last season. And do you know what? I actually think it's the right decision because, yes, he's obviously made a mistake he's cost them the playoff position last season. He still did a really good job at Southampton, and he's still a really good manager. So I think by keeping him, it does mean that Southampton will probably stay towards the top. They've not signed loads of players. I think it's 5 permanents and 0 loans. Lewis Dobbin from Aston Villa is a decent signing. Cillian or Kyle Larin from Mallorca. I don't know much about him, but he scored 8 goals on loan at Southampton last season in 16 games. That's a good signing. George Long, obviously a backup goalie. Daniel Peretz, another goalkeeper from Bayern Munich. I assume he'll be the number one. Again, I think he was on loan at Southampton last season as well. They've also signed Issa Sankara from a team I've never actually heard of. I think Southampton are strong enough to get in the playoffs again. So I'm going to pop them into the playoffs.
Yeah, so for me, Southampton will again be in the playoffs. Very good team. Yeah, I can't see them not being in that playoff mix-up. And that's a really strong playoff looking at that, what I've got there. Birmingham, Bristol. Yeah, that's a strong playoffs.
Okay. Next, we have Stoke City. Again, another team who seem to spend a lot of money every season, and they just keep remain in the championship. They have now got a good manager. It's well known that I'm a massive fan of Mark Robbins, and they have spent incredibly £21 million this summer. Again, a lot of players unknown. Milan Smith from Go Ahead Eagles. Now, what I will say is, obviously, Mark Robbins has gone into the foreign market with Coventry and got in a lot of good players. Gus Hamer he brought in, for example. Victor Yokeres he brought in. So he knows the foreign market quite well. So a lot of these players might actually be a success. So I'll go through them quickly. Milan Smith, 4.8 million from Go Ahead Eagles. Jibril Samari from Braga, 3.4 million. It was on loan at Sheffield United last season. Josh Griffiths from West Brom. Ethan Galbraith's a great signing from Swansea. That cost 10 million. Svante Ingolson from Sheffield Wednesday. Again, I think that's a decent signing. He was probably Wednesday's best player last season. He's kind of a workhorse and typical Robins player. Luke Graham from Dundee, a 6'4" centre half. Paul McAvoy from Walsall, I think he's just a youngster. George Morrison from Fleetwood, again, just a youngster. Jack Newell from Burton and Will Thompson from Nottingham Forest. Now, I really want to put Stoke in those playoffs. I really do. And they've spent £20 million. And it's incredible that I'm going to stick Stoke in mid-table when they've spent £20 million. I just think that, as Lee's kind of said, the league is extremely strong. And I think that Stoke, they just keep to get it wrong every single year. And that's why I'm going to put them mid-table again for probably the 10th season in a row.
Yeah, it's getting difficult, this one. And I'm looking at these teams left. And I'm thinking I might have to move some. Yeah, I mean, Stoke City, I do like Mark Robbins. I do think he's going to get it right with the foreign market. He's proven that at Coventry. They could get in the playoffs. Yeah, so I'm going to put a mid-table, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do sneak into the playoffs. I am going to move a playoff team, though. So I am going to take out Bristol City and put them into mid-table, because obviously I've got another team that I want to put into the playoffs. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. Moving on now, you can't see the next one. It is Swansea City again. It's not a very good logo. You can see it there. Look, Swansea City. So we will talk quickly about them. Again, a team who they've obviously in the Premier League not too long ago. Another team with admirations of trying to get back into the Premier League. Looking at, if you like, their obviously players out, they've lost a couple of important players, and one of them we've just mentioned, Ethan Galbraith is one, and I actually think Liam Cullen is a big miss who's gone to Leicester. They've only signed, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 players as permanent and 1 loan. The loan actually is a player I know well, Thiago Parentes, the left wing back for one of Benfica, and Benfica do generally have a lot of good youth academy players, so I imagine that's probably going to be a good signing. The manager is still Vitor Matos, obviously a Portuguese coach. I believe he was at Maritimo. He's a young coach. He's only 38. Again, it's a bit of a gamble. He was there last year, Swansea last year, sorry, and he didn't pull up much trees, to be fair. They've brought in Stephen Wells from Celtic, decent signing. Musa Yeo from Red Bull Salzburg. Eli Just, who obviously had a really good World Cup. I actually think Eli Just is one of them where he was so good in the World Cup. I don't think he'll be that good when he gets back to just, if you like, competitive, normal football. I think he probably just excelled a little bit in the World Cup because of the hype. I don't think he's worth £5 million. If you ask Motherwell fans, I don't think they'd say he was that good for them. 7 goals in 35 games would kind of suggest us that as well. Joseph Opoku is a good signing from Zolt Wigan, £6 million. Probably their best signing, if you can stay fit, Ross Stewart. Still a very good player. Didn't really work out at Southampton. He just needs to stay fit. He's 30 years old, still a decent age. And for a free transfer, that is a good signing. Because of all that, I'm also going to put Swansea in mid-table. Don't think they've got a strong enough side to not a playoff charge, unfortunately.
God, you can hardly see him. Yeah, so obviously I'm gonna go mid-table as well. Yeah, I can't see him finishing much higher than that. So mid-table for Swansea City.
Okay. Next, we have Watford, another team who have kind of been in the Championship for what seems like ages. Obviously, we all know about their manager issues where they seem to get a new manager every single week. They've had a lot of foreign players in and through the door and out through the door, and I don't think they've got many English players in their squad, to be honest with you. Players that have come in, again, all foreign. Omar Traore is a German. Ikea Bravo, a Spanish. Luca Kierum Danish. Martin Payero, who he was actually at Middlesbrough a few years ago, and I thought he struggled. So that's a great signing. And Federico Ravaglia, who's an Italian, 6'6" Italian. I always think with Watford, it's an unknown quantity because of all the foreign players that they do bring in. I actually think they're going to struggle there this season, and I'm going to put them in bottom half this time. So I just think they're gradually getting worse and worse. So I'm going bottom half.
Fair enough. How many teams are in the bottom half?
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5. 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, 5. Yeah. So you've already used your bottom half already.
So still, because I feel they could finish nearly there, so I'll put them mid-table then.
Okay. Next, West Bromwich Albion. Now, a bit of a strange one. Obviously, Rotherham played West Bromwich Albion in a competitive game on Saturday, and to be fair, West Bromwich Albion looked incredible. And if you speak to a lot of Rotherham fans, I think they'd probably say that West Brom will be a surprise package this season. Now, I underestimated James Morrison last season, so I do think there are elements to that. However, the type of football that West Brom played, albeit excellent, I don't think that Championship will make it that easy for West Brom. So I actually think that they're not going to surprise people and get a playoff place or higher. Players that they brought in, Barney Stewart from Falkirk, 1.3 million. Jimmy J. Morgan, great signing for Foreman. He scored a couple of goals for West Brom against Rotherham on Saturday. Matt Ingram from Oxford, Carter Pennington from Liverpool, William Rutter from Brighton, Connor Townsend, a good signing from Ipswich, Noah Galvez from Rodez, and Felix Horn-Meyer, who did again play on Saturday, and he looked a very good player, to be fair to him. And he has come through, I think. Has he come through the... No, he hasn't. It looked like he'd come through the Barcelona youth academy. He's not, so ignore me. But yeah, good signing. West Brom, I think it's quite straightforward one. They're going to finish mid-table.
Yeah, so I disagree. I think West Brom are the team I've cleared a space for the playoffs. And not only that, I thought they underachieved last season. They're a big club, and they've got some great young players, and I think they're going to shock a few this season. So I'm going to put them in the playoffs.
Interesting. Okay. Next, the big boys, West Ham United. Again, you don't really need to look at who they've signed, who the manager is, etc. Because
let's just move on from this one, Bez.
Yeah.
We're both putting
West,
top.
Yeah, West Ham are going to finish
winning
top,
the league easy.
Yeah.
There you
Let's
go.
put that up
Champions.
there. So that's 9 done. Let's have a look at Leeds. So Leeds put them there as well. Okay. Sorry, West Ham fans.
It's pointless.
We'll do more. We'll do more on you. We'll do more on you in over the season. Don't worry. Wolverhampton Wanderers. So again, another club who've come down from the Premier League. They've got a new head coach, I think, Cesar Pexeto is called. This guy has actually managed big sides in Braga. Sorry, he's played for big sides like Braga and Benfica. He has been managing in the Portuguese league for a number of clubs over the last 5 seasons. They've obviously brought in a few players. They don't need to strengthen a lot because they've got a decent squad from the Premier League. Ladislav Krejci is a great signing. 22 million it's cost him. but he's a very good left-sided defender or midfielder. I know him from playing Sparta Prague. Good signing that. Raul Jimenez, again, at this level, he will be very good. I know he's 35, but he actually was great for Mexico in the World Cup, and I think he'll carry on that form for Wolves. Kieran Trippier, again, he's 35, but he's never had never been blessed with loads of pace, so he's not lost pace, so he's still going to be good at this level. They've also signed a player from Standard Liège, Rafiki Said, who, again, I don't know too much about. It's quite easy to see where I'm going to put Wolves. I'm putting Wolves in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. For me, they're finishing second easily. I mean, Trippier putting balls in for Jimenez doesn't even bear thinking about. Yeah, it's, for me, the top two are nailed on. I didn't even think about it. Top two are absolutely nailed on.
Yeah. The thing is, it never really happens like that. When teams come down from the Premier League, you will get one who
trust me, mate.
But it never happens. So,
watch the video back, clip it up, do whatever you want. That is the top two for next season. It's not even in doubt. Yeah, clip it up, boys. Bookmark it. Save it till the end of the season, and we'll have a good old chat on how King Bush was right. West Ham will win the league. Wolves will finish second. The rest is history.
Okay. Right then, last one, and again, I'm not going to spend too much going into him because I've only actually got one place left, and it was a difficult one with Wrexham. Obviously, we all know they've got money behind them. They've brought in two players, Danny Imre, from Palace, Benjamin Whiteman from Preston, 8 million combined between the two. Phil Parkinson, still like him as a manager. I just feel that they've not strengthened enough. They've only, like I said, they brought two players in, and I just don't think they're strengthened enough where other teams have. So that's why I'm actually putting Wrexham in mid-table. I do think that they'll be close to playoffs, but I just think they'll miss out, and that's why I've got them mid-table.
Yeah, and obviously I've only got the one place left, mid-table, and that is purely because they haven't kicked on. For me, you know, if there's good football people there, they need to say Phil Parkinson's not good enough. He's not going to take them any further. He's not good enough as a manager. They need the next step now. They need to invest as well. So they need to spend big to break from where they are currently now to where they want to be. They need to spend big again, and they need to get a better manager for me. And that's why I think they won't make the playoffs. Sorry, guys.
Okay. That's it then, Lee. We are done.
Yep. As always, thank you for watching. Drop your comments in. Let us know what you think. Do you think we've got it bang on? Do you think our picks? And who do you think has got the better picks, me or Bez? Who do you think will win this sort of title of top dog? I know it's going to be me. Just looking at that, I know it's going to be me. But, you know, there could be some surprises in there. I mean, I was toying with the idea of Bristol, and so there is a few that could be, it could not be. You know, your West Broms, and where Bez has not got them in and I've got them in, but I can easily see them reversing because they're very tight. It's a very, other than the top sort of three teams in that league, the rest of them are a very much like of teams. And like you've seen Bez set on nearly every team, they've all spent around 10 to 20 million quid. And they're just mid-table teams. Yeah. Their teams were putting in mid-table. You look at Sheffield United, yeah, they've lost Harmer, but I believe they've bid something like 9 million for a player from Leicester.
Harry Suter,
yeah. So, I mean, they could get him. So you're looking at these teams that are putting in mid-table, and they've spent absolute millions. Bristol, look at the forward line that Bristol's got. Look at how much Wrexham have spent, invested. All of these teams we're putting in mid-table. That shows you how difficult it is when you look at a Lincoln City going in there. Same as when Rotherham were in there. They can't compete with that sort of spending. They can't. And then the next level up, yeah, you can't compete. You look at what we've said with Wolves. They've paid. So some of these teams have spent 20 million in mid-table. Wolves have spent 20 million on one player.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Because they're the difference between the Premier League. So the top half teams have got Premiership sort of money, where they can spend 20 million on a player, and then the mid-table teams that are wanting to go to the playoffs get around sort of 10 to 20 million to spend on their whole squad. There's a big difference, and that's why you'll find this middle table will be very difficult to predict, and that's why they always say it's the hardest league to predict, and that's why, because all of them push that boat, because the prize is so big, but none of them can compete with West Ham or Wolves because they've just come down from the Premier League, and even Burnley. But then you've got your teams that have been in the Premier League not so long ago, your Southamptons, your Sheffield Uniteds, you know what I mean? The big sort of teams that have been in the Premier League and not managed to get straight back up. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting league. Let us know what you think our predictions are like, and we'll see who finishes on top. As always, please like the video, please share the video, tell your friends about it, whatever, and drop your comments in. Let us know your thoughts. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care.
Cheers.